Imagine this. It's Friday. Your paycheck just hit. For about 10 seconds, you feel rich. You open your banking app, see that bigger number, maybe mentally spend it 3 different ways. Then the autopay hits. Rent disappears. Car payment, gone. Credit card minimum, gone. Groceries, gas, maybe that one subscription you forgot about. By Monday, you're back to checking your balance before you buy a sandwich, wondering how it all vanished again. If that feels a little too accurate, it's because millions of people in America are living exactly like this. You're working, sometimes working hard, sometimes holding down more than one job, but it still feels like your money is just passing through your account on its way to everyone else. Living paycheck to paycheck isn't just about being bad with money. It's a system you got dropped into, and it's designed to keep you busy and tired enough that you don't question it. Hey, I'm Dylan from Dylan Investments. Money Talks, I translate it for you. And today, I want to walk you through how to actually stop living paycheck to paycheck in America. Not with magic tricks or just stop drinking coffee memes, but with a real understanding of why this keeps happening to you and a practical way to build space between your life and your next paycheck. Let's put some simple words on what this trap actually is. Paycheck to paycheck means your entire life is one missed paycheck away from panic. If your job delayed your pay by even a week, you'd be choosing which bill not to pay. You might be using credit just to survive until the next direct deposit, then using that direct deposit to plug the hole you just created. It feels like there's never a clean slate, just one long financial treadmill. Here's where it gets interesting. Most people think the solution is, I just need to make more money. More income helps, for sure. But if income alone solved this, then everyone who ever got a raise or a better job would instantly be fine. You've probably noticed that's not how it works. You get a raise, things feel better for a month or two, then somehow you're stressed again. Same movie, different paycheck size. So let's talk about why this keeps happening. There are a few big forces working together here. One is the basic math of rising costs in America. Rent, childcare, healthcare, food, interest on debt. Another is the hidden systems that quietly siphon your money off the top. Automatic payments, fees, subscriptions, interest charges, buy now, pay later. And then there's the psychological side, the way your brain handles stress, reward, and the feeling of, finally, I got paid. To make this less abstract, imagine a friend of mine. Let's call him Alex. Alex makes what most people would call a normal American income. He's not rolling in money, but he's not officially poor either. When his paycheck hits, the first thing that goes out is rent, then his car payment, then insurance, and then 3 credit cards with balances that came from a few bad months a couple of years ago and never really got cleaned up. By the time he buys groceries and fills up his gas tank, he's got maybe a few $100 left. That's supposed to cover everything unexpected in life for the next 2 weeks. Now here's the twist. Alex doesn't feel like he's doing anything crazy with money. He's not buying luxury bags. He's not flying first class. He's not gambling his savings away. His problem isn't that he's wildly irresponsible. His problem is that his financial life has zero margin. Every dollar already has a job before it even arrives, and there's no extra room for life to be messy, which it always is. If you only remember one idea from this video, make it this one. The opposite of living paycheck to paycheck is not being rich, it's having margin. Margin is the space between what you make and what you spend, and what you owe and what you own. When you have margin, surprises are annoying, not life-threatening. When you don't have margin, a flat tire can send you into a spiral that lasts 6 months. So what does that actually mean for you? Sitting at your kitchen table watching this on your phone or your laptop. It means the goal isn't just make more money someday. The goal is create and protect a small but growing gap between your income and your expenses, and then use that gap strategically instead of letting it vanish into the financial noise of your life. Let's go one level deeper into how the system fights that margin. One way is by autopiloting your money away from you. You've got subscriptions you forgot about. You've got apps with your card saved that make it way too easy to buy without thinking. You've got minimum payments set just high enough to keep you paying, but low enough that the balance never really goes away. You have companies that get paid before you even really feel like the money is yours. Here's where things quietly go wrong. Your brain treats available balance as spendable money. So if you open your banking app and see $800 left after bills, your brain thinks, okay, that's what I've got to work with. But your future self also needs food next week, gas next week, maybe a copay, maybe a school expense for a kid, maybe a random trip to the doctor. The system doesn't show those future hits, so it feels like you're always being surprised by things that actually weren't surprises at all. Remember that moment when you opened your bank app and felt sick seeing how little was left? That sinking feeling isn't just emotions. It's your internal math system realizing that future you is not funded. And because you're living close to the edge, every little thing feels like it can push you over. So let's talk about how to start building that margin, even if your income isn't changing right away. If I were you, the first thing I'd do is get brutally honest about where your money is already going. Not forever, just for 1 or 2 months. I'd pull up my bank and credit card statements and look for anything that's automatic, repeating, or sneaky. Subscriptions, small recurring charges, random memberships, fees that just show up and you shrug at them. This isn't about judging yourself. It's about finding the leaks in the boat so you can patch them. I know a guy named Jason who swore he didn't have anything left to cut. He was convinced every expense he had was essential. We sat down and went through his statements line by line. He found 2 streaming services he forgot he was still paying for, an old software subscription from a side project he abandoned, a gym membership he hadn't used in 6 months, and a couple of small insurances he didn't really need. It added up to almost $150 a month. That's not nothing. That's the start of margin. Here's where this gets important. The moment you create even $50 to $100 of monthly breathing room, you cannot let it dissolve into lifestyle again. That money cannot just become extra spending money. That margin is your escape hatch. So the next move is simple, but powerful. You give that margin a job that serves future you. If I were coaching you, I'd tell you to open a separate savings account at your bank or an online bank. Nickname it something like Buffer or First Safety Net, and set up an automatic transfer there every time you get paid. It doesn't have to be huge at first. Even $25 a paycheck is a start. The key is not the size, it's the habit and the separation. You want that buffer to feel like money that lives in another room, not money that's sitting on the couch with you, tempting you. Now, you might be thinking, Dylan, I've tried saving before. Something always comes up. And you're right, something will come up. The difference is, if you've been building that buffer, when life punches you in the face, you're hitting that buffer instead of hitting a credit card. It might feel like you're breaking your savings, but you're actually doing the point of savings, taking hits so that your monthly cash flow doesn't explode. Here's the twist most people never see. Getting out of the paycheck to paycheck cycle is less about doing one huge thing and more about consistently protecting tiny wins. $50 you don't blow this week is a win. A month where you don't add new debt is a win. 2 months where your buffer goes from $0 to $200 is a win. And those wins stack. The system wants you to believe they don't matter, so you'll stay in emergency mode and keep swiping. Let's talk about debt for a second, because it's the heavy backpack you're probably carrying while you're running on this treadmill. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, credit cards, buy now pay later, and personal loans become life rafts. They let you survive this month in exchange for making next month harder. Interest is the rent you pay on past emergencies and past, I'll pay it back later decisions. To be clear, I'm not here to shame you for using debt to get through a tough year. A lot of people got smashed by medical bills, job loss, inflation, all of it. But if you want to get off this treadmill, you eventually have to flip the script so debt stops growing and starts shrinking. Even just deciding, I will not add new debt unless it's truly life or death, is a huge mental shift. If I were in your shoes, once I had even a tiny buffer started, I'd look at my debts and ask one key question. Which one is charging me the most for the privilege of staying broke? That's usually a credit card with a nasty interest rate. I'd still make the minimums on everything else, but I'd try to aim a little extra at that expensive one whenever I could. I'd also call the card company and ask straight up if they can lower my rate or work out a hardship plan. You'd be surprised how often companies will budge if they think they might lose you or see you default. Here's where things get weird in a good way. The moment you go a few months without adding new debt, your situation starts to feel less chaotic. The balances might still be there, but they're not growing like a moldy sandwich in the back of the fridge. You've stopped digging the hole deeper. That's progress, even if the world doesn't celebrate it. Now let's circle back to that feeling on payday. Right now, if you're paycheck to paycheck, payday feels like coming up for air. You've been underwater, holding your breath, and suddenly for a brief moment you can breathe. Then the bills yank you under again. I want you to eventually feel like payday is just a regular part of a system that already works, not the only day you can relax. So how do you actually change that feeling over the next year? You start by directing the first slice of your paycheck to future you, instead of everybody else. That might sound ridiculous when you're barely covering your bills. But even making the habit symbolic at first is powerful. $10 that goes to your buffer every check, before you pay anyone else, teaches your brain that you are also one of your own bills. You're not just a pass-through for everyone else. To build on that, when you get money that's not part of your normal routine, like a tax refund, bonus, overtime, side gig money, or even selling stuff you don't use, I'd use a simple rule. Take a portion to enjoy on purpose and a portion to attack the cycle. For example, keep half to enjoy guilt-free and throw the other half at your buffer or your nastiest debt. That way you're not living a joyless life, but you're also not letting every windfall evaporate like it never happened. Let me give you another quick story. A friend of mine had about $300 in their savings account and around $4,000 in credit card debt. Every time life got tight, they would empty the savings, feel defeated, then use the card more. It was a spiral. We talked about it, and he decided to treat that first $500 of savings as absolutely off limits unless it was a true emergency, not just, I'm short this month. He also cut his card out of his digital wallets and physically put it somewhere annoying, so swiping wasn't so easy. Within a year, he wasn't rich, but he wasn't suffocating every month either. He had a buffer, his debt was finally going down, and his anxiety was way lower. Remember that moment of staring at your balance and feeling like you're failing at adulthood? That moment isn't about you being dumb or lazy. It's about trying to play a rigged game without a playbook. Once you start building any margin, any buffer, even small, that feeling begins to shift. You start to feel less like a victim of the system and more like someone quietly rerouting your own life. Now, there's one more piece I need to mention, because it's the part that can sneak up on you and drag you back into the cycle even after you escape it. It's lifestyle creep. That's when more money shows up, and instead of going to margin, it goes to more monthly commitments. Nicer car, nicer apartment, more subscriptions, more must-have convenience services. It doesn't feel like you're splurging. It feels like, I deserve this, or this is normal now. Then suddenly, your new, bigger paycheck is just as tight as the old one. Here's the simple guardrail I'd put in place. Anytime your income goes up, decide in advance that a chunk of that increase is invisible to your lifestyle. Maybe that means your bills are allowed to grow a little, but not as much as your income did. The rest goes to faster debt payoff or faster buffer building. If you can even stick to that rule halfway, you'll feel your life change over the next couple of years. You might be wondering, okay, but what if I truly don't make enough to cover my basics even after cutting and optimizing? That's a real situation for a lot of people. In that case, the long-term answer usually has to involve increasing income somehow, training for better paying work, switching fields, stacking a side hustle that isn't burning you out. But here's the key, everything we talked about still matters. If you don't build those habits and that margin mindset now, more income will just scale the chaos. So where do you go from here practically? Tonight or this weekend, take an hour to sit with your numbers. Look for automatic leaks. Start a tiny buffer, even if it's $20. Make one phone call to a creditor or a subscription to negotiate or cancel. Move one small step from constant emergency toward controlled discomfort. It won't feel glamorous, but that's what real change looks like in the beginning. If this made a few things click for you, you might want to save this video and come back to it the next time you get paid. Listen to it again while you're looking at your bank app and deciding what to do with that money. And if you want to go deeper, the next thing you need to understand is how to build a simple money system that keeps this margin growing automatically, which is exactly what I break down in my budgeting videos. You're not broken for living paycheck to paycheck. You're just playing a game that was never explained to you. Now you understand more of how it really works, and you've got a starting plan to slowly, quietly step off the treadmill and onto solid ground. That might not happen in a month, but a year from now, you could be looking back at today as the day you finally stopped pretending and started building. I'm Dylan from Dylan Investments. Money Talks, and I'll keep translating it for you. Have a good one, my friend.